human body, first let us discuss some basic classification of this nervous system. This nervous system in our body is categorized into two types. One is central nervous system and other one is peripheral nervous system. One is central nervous system and other one is peripheral nervous system. These are the basic classifications that are central nervous system and peripheral nervous system. The central nervous system consists of brain and spinal cord. Now it consists brain and spinal cord. It consists brain and spinal cord. When we discuss about this brain and spinal cord, let us consider this is a brain in which this is a cortex, and this is brain, and from here this is spinal cord. It is brain and this is spinal cord. It includes this brain and spinal cord. When we consider this peripheral nervous system, this peripheral nervous system is divided into two parts again. Sensory and motor. Sensory nervous system and motor nervous system. Now when we consider about this sensory nervous system, this sensory nervous system consists of neurons in which it transmits the nerve signal to this central nervous system. If we consider the pathway like this, now this is the pathway of sensory nervous system, and whenever the sensory nervous system will transmit the sensory information to this brain and spinal cord, where some neurological response will be generated. Now the generated neurological response will transmit to the motor nervous system in this way. Pathway will be like this. This will be the pathway of motor nervous system. This is sensory nervous system and motor nervous system. Sensory nervous system helps in transmitting the sensory information to the central nervous system, whereas the motor nervous system, what is the function of this motor nervous system means, whenever the central nervous system will transmit the stimuli, then it will be reached to the motor nervous system through the motor nerves. It will be through the sensory nerves and it will be through the motor nerves. And when we consider internally about this sensory nervous system, this sensory nervous system again classified into two types. One is special senses and one is general senses. One is special type of senses and another one is general type of senses. What are special senses and what are general senses? Special senses are the senses in which the external action potential will be generated from special type of organs, such as example vision from eyes and hearing and etc. These are two examples of special nervous system, special sensory nervous system. And when we come to the general nervous system, in this general nervous system, the action potential or sensory stimuli will get stimulated from any general parts of the body. Example, touch and sensation. Touch and general sensation. And again, this sensory nervous system classified into two types. One is special special sensory nervous system and general sensory nervous system. When we consider again this general nervous system, it is classified into two types. One is somatic and other one is visceral. This general nervous system is classified into two types. One is somatic nervous system and visceral nervous system. This somatic nervous system will deals with the sensory stimuli from skin and skeletal muscles that are locomotory organs. Somatic nervous system will deals with skin and some skeletal muscles that are locomotory organs. And when we discuss about this this visceral nervous system, it transmits the sensory stimuli from visceral ganglia or visceral parts. It takes the sensory information from visceral ganglia or some visceral parts of our body that are endothelial of blood vessels. This is about sensory nervous systems. Sensory nervous system is classified into two types. One is special nervous system and general nervous system. And this general nervous system again classified into two types. One is somatic neural system and visceral neural system. Now, when we consider about this motor nervous system, this motor nervous system is classified into two types. One is somatic nervous system and autonomic nervous system. Motor nervous system is classified into two types. One is somatic nervous system and other one is autonomic nervous system. As we told that this somatic nervous system will be in case of the somatic nervous system, some actions will be under control. Now, when we consider about this autonomic nervous system, this autonomic nervous system is not under control. It is not under control. And somatic nervous system and autonomic nervous system. This autonomic nervous system is again classified into two types. One is sympathetic and other one is parasympathetic. This autonomic nervous system is again classified into two types. One is sympathetic nervous system and other one is parasympathetic nervous system. This sympathetic nervous system will help with increasing of blood pressure, heartbeat, etc. And this parasympathetic nervous system, this sympathetic nervous system will increase heartbeat and it will increase blood pressure. And when we discuss about this parasympathetic nervous system, it will decrease heartbeat and it also decreases blood pressure. This is some basic classification of nervous system in our body. And this is central nervous system and peripheral nervous system. Central nervous system deals with brain and spinal cord, and peripheral nervous system deals with nerves of brain and spinal cord. It deals with the nerves of brain and spinal cord. This peripheral nervous system is classified into two types. One is sensory and motor. The sensory nervous system is again classified into two types. One is special sensory and general sensory. Special sensory is a sensation which is produced from special organs that are example vision and hearing, and general senses are the sensations which are produced from general parts of our body, example touch and sensations. And this general sensory is again classified into two types. One is somatic and visceral. Now, when we consider motor nervous system is again classified into somatic and autonomic nervous system. The somatic nervous system is under control of our body, and autonomic nervous system is not under control of our body. This autonomic nervous system is classified again into two types. One is sympathetic and another one is parasympathetic. This is about some basic classification of central nervous system. Now let us move to the another topic, that is cells which are involved in central nervous system. When we consider the central nervous system or nervous system, this nervous system includes two different types of cells. First one is neurons. These neuron cells are the true cells which helps in transforming of neural signal from one cell to the another cell. These are true cells, and there are another cells that are glial cells, which are also called neuroglial cells. One is neurons and another one is neuroglial cells. These neuroglial cells are non-functional cells, and these neuroglial cells will help in. These are the supporting cells which helps and which give support to these neurons. And when we consider the nervous system or central nervous system, the central nervous system consists of two parts. One is gray matter and other one is white matter. Central nervous system consists of gray matter and another one is white matter. What is gray matter and what is white matter? When we consider the structure of central nervous system, that is let us consider this is the structure of central nervous system, in which it is spinal cord, this is brain, and this is spinal cord. And what is gray matter? Gray matter is a group of cell bodies in central nervous system. Let us consider this is a neuron, let us consider this is a neuron, and there are many cell bodies like this. Now let us consider these are some neuronal structures, and these are the cell bodies and these are the axons. What is gray matter? Gray matter is a group of cell bodies a group of cell bodies in central nervous system is called gray matter. And what is white body? White matter. White matter is a group of axons in central nervous system is called white body. This is gray matter and this is white matter. Gray matter consists of cell bodies and white matter consists of axons. And this, when we consider this gray matter again classified into two parts. First one is cortex, second one is nuclei. What is cortex and what is nuclei? Now, when we consider when we study about this cortex, what is cortex means? This is a cerebral hemisphere in which this is cerebral cortex. Whenever the cell bodies which are accumulated or present at surface area of cerebral when the cell bodies are accumulated at the surface area of this cerebral cortex in central nervous system is called cortex. And this cortex, this neurons contains axons. These are the axons of these neurons. And once again, what is cortex means? Cortex is a group of cell bodies which are present at the surface area of cerebral cortex is called cortex. And when we consider about this, what is nuclei means? Now, let us consider this. There is a group of there is one more group of cell bodies in which are surrounded by the axons. Let us consider this is a group of cell bodies in which are surrounded by the axons is called nuclei. Now, this is a cell body. Now we know that there is a axons which are coming from this, and it will enter into the specific nerve. If it enters into fifth nerve, now this nuclei is called fifth nerve nuclei. This is fifth nerve nuclei. This is about cortex and this is about nuclei. Once again, nuclei means a group of cell bodies in which are surrounded by axons around it is called nuclei, and this nuclei will give its axons to the nerve. Now this nuclei are called nerve nuclei. This is about cortex and nuclei. When we discuss about white matter, this white matter consists of first one, tracts. What are tracts? As we know that white matter consists of axons. Now this total brain and spinal cord consists of neurons, and as there is a neuron, there will be presence of axons. Now this is a bundle of axon. Let us consider this is a bundle of axons which are moving from lower part to the upper part or upper part to the lower part are called tracks. Now these tracks are two types: ascending tracks and descending tracks. What are ascending tracks? Ascending tracks are the tracks in which carries the nerve impulse from spinal cord to the brain in lower part to the upper part are called ascending tracks. And when we consider about descending tracks are the tracks in which are present in cortical region and which will transform the information from brain to the spinal cord in this down manner. Now these are called descending tracks. Now first category is tracks, second one is commissural fibers. What are commissural fibers? Commissural fibers are the fibers in which the axons which are helps in connection connecting the neurons which are present in right side and left side. These are the commissural fibers which helps in connecting the neurons which are present in left side of brain and right side of the brain. These are commissural fibers. And there are one more structure, that is associated fibers. What are associated fibers? Associated fibers are the fibers in which helps in connecting the neurons which are present in front side and back side, like this. Commissural fibers are the fibers which connect the neurons which are present in left side and right side, and associated fibers are the fibers which connects the neurons which are present in front side and back side. This is about cells, that are neurons and neuroglia and grey matter, white matter, and subdivision of cortex and nuclei and tracts, commissural fibers and associated fibers. When we discuss about the evolution of this central nervous system, let us consider this is a nerve tube. This is a nerve tube in embryological condition, and this nerve tube, when the fetus will get grown up, this neural tube will get converted into three bulgings. Now this is called spinal cord. What are these three bulgings means? This is forebrain, this is midbrain, and this is hindbrain. Forebrain, midbrain, hindbrain. Now this forebrain is also called prosencephalon. This midbrain is also called mesencephalon. And hindbrain is also called rhombencephalon. Prosencephalon, mesencephalon, and rhombencephalon. Forebrain, midbrain, hindbrain. Now, this in later condition, it gets modified into. In later condition, this forebrain will get generated, and this hindbrain will get generated, and formation of new substance. This is spinal cord. This is brain, and this is forebrain, this is midbrain, and this is hindbrain. This is forebrain, this is midbrain, and this is hindbrain. And it is cerebellum. And from here, the hindbrain will get converted into two parts. One is medulla, and one is cerebellum. This is midbrain, and when we see about this forebrain, this large part is called cerebrum, and the layer which is present inner to this cerebrum that is let us consider this is a layer which is present next to the cerebral hemisphere is called telencephalon. This is telencephalon, and these two structures which cannot be further developed these two structures, but these are only one in number. This is called diencephalon. This is telencephalon and this is diencephalon. This entirely is called prosencephalon. This entire structure is called forebrain or prosencephalon. The layer which is present next to the cerebrum is called telencephalon, and these two are called diencephalon, but it is only one in number. And this is midbrain, and this is hindbrain. Hindbrain consists of pons, medulla, and cerebellum. This is forebrain, midbrain, and hindbrain. This is about the evolution of central nervous system in our body, and when we discuss the layers of the brain, first it consists of dura mater, and second arachnoid membrane, and third pia mater. This pia mater is a slight layer and it is soft layer, whereas dura mater is strongest layer. Let us consider this our nervous system, and this pia mater is the innermost layer. Which is present around the central nervous system, and there is one more structure called arachnoid layer. This is the arachnoid membrane. Which is present next to the pia mater. This is second layer, that is arachnoid membrane, and this arachnoid membrane is again surrounded by one more layer, that is dura mater. This is the outermost layer. And this is the outermost layer, that is dura mater, which is tough and rigid connective tissue. Next, the layer which is present next to this dura mater is called arachnoid membrane or arachnoid layer. This is second layer, and the layer which is present below this arachnoid membrane and which is innermost layer is called pia mater. These are the three layers, that is dura mater, arachnoid membrane, and pia mater. These are the layers of this heart sorry, these are the layers of this brain, and this arachnoid layer it consists of two layers. Then we consider the cranial bone. This is cranial bone, and under this cranial bone, dura mater is present. This dura mater is toughest layer, and it is strongest connective tissue, and this dura mater is double layer membrane. The layer which is this is the first layer, and when consider the second layer, this is the second layer in which these two layers are attached to each other, but at some distance. Both the layers will get separated, and there will be formation of some space under the in this dura mater. Now, what is the function of this special space? It contains, now this space consists of epithelial tissue, or it contains endothelial cells, and it helps in flow of venous blood. When there is a blockage in this blood vessel, it results in a disorder called hematitis. This is a true double layer membrane, that is dura mater. These are the layers of brain, that are dura mater, arachnoid membrane, and pia mater. When we discuss about the parts of the brain, forebrain consists of cerebrum, olfactory lobes, and diencephalon. When we discuss about the cerebrum, first cerebrum this is a structure of cerebrum in which it is divided into two halves, that is right cerebral hemisphere and left cerebral hemisphere, with a connection called longitudinal fissure. Into right and left cerebral hemisphere. This is right cerebral hemisphere, and this is left cerebral hemisphere. Right cerebral hemisphere and left cerebral hemisphere. This right cerebral hemisphere will control the left part of the body, and left cerebral hemisphere will control the right side part of the body. Now, this right cerebral hemisphere and left cerebral hemisphere are interconnected by a special substance called corpus callosum. Corpus callosum is a special structure which helps in connection between this left cerebral hemisphere and right cerebral hemisphere. This is about cerebrum. when we discuss about diencephalon, diencephalon is the last part of the forebrain, in which let us discuss what are the structures which are present around the diencephalon and how this diencephalon is formed. Let us consider. Let us consider this is a midbrain and it is pons and it is medulla oblongata and it is midbrain, and where this diencephalon and how this diencephalon consists of, first one epithalamus, second one thalamus, and third one hypothalamus, and fourth one optic chiasma. This diencephalon consists of four parts: epithalamus, thalamus, hypothalamus, and chiasma. Let us discuss where this epithalamus, how this epithalamus is formed, and thalamus, hypothalamus, and optic chiasma. Now, this is the neural tube, in which this is the fourth ventricle. The name of the fourth ventricle is diastole, which is present in medulla oblongata, and this is the midbrain. On the upper side of the midbrain, this structure is called third ventricle. This is a third ventricle, and on either sides of the third ventricle there is a special structure called thalamus. On either sides of the third ventricle, thalamus is present, and the posterior side of this third ventricle there is special structure called pineal body. There is a structure called pineal body, and it is epithalamus, and this is a third ventricle, and on lateral sides and under the third ventricle there is special structure. This is called hypothalamus. Hypothalamus is present at the around the third ventricle on upper side of the midbrain, and this hypothalamus consists of a pouch. This pouch is called tuber cinereum. Now this pouch will result in a formation of pituitary gland. This is tuber cinereum, and there is one more elevation on either sides. These are called mammillary bodies. This is tuber cinereum, which results in formation of stalk and infundibulum and results in formation of hypothalamus, and these are the mammillary bodies, which are 2 in number, and these are the structures which are associated with this diencephalon: epithalamus, thalamus and hypothalamus, and there is one more structure, that is optic chiasma. These are the 2 eyes. This optic chiasma will leads to the thalamus, and on dorsal side of this thalamus there are 2 structures called teniculate body. Teniculate body is a structure which is present on posterior side of the thalamus. Once again, let us discuss about diencephalon. Diencephalon is floor of the forebrain, and let us consider this is midbrain and pons and medulla oblongata, and it is cerebellum. On the upper side of this midbrain, it consists of third ventricle. Around the third ventricle, on lateral sides, it consists of thalamus, which are 2 in number, and around the third ventricle, it consists of hypothalamus, and it also consists of a stalk called pineal body, and it also consists of teniculate bodies. This is about diencephalon, and let us discuss brief about this thalamus. Let us consider this is the thalamus. This is the structure of thalamus, and there is a sheet of white matter There is a sheet of white matter which is in Y shape. This Y-shaped structure consists of white. This Y-shaped structure consists of white bodies in it, and this Y-shaped structure, white bodies, will divide this thalamus into three parts. One is medullary part, other one is anterior part, other one is lateral part. Medullary part, anterior part, and lateral part. And again, this lateral part again differentiated into two parts. One is this entire structure is called dorsal tire nuclei. And another part of this lateral part is this is dorsal part, and the ventral part is also called ventral tire nuclei. This is dorsal tire nuclei and it is ventral tire nuclei, and it consists of special type of nucleus in it. And there is one more structure which is called these two structures are called medial teniculate body. These two structures are called medial teniculate bodies, and these are associated with vision. These are helpful in vision. And there are one more structure that are these are called lateral teniculate body. These are associated with hearing. These are the two structures in which it is a structure of thalamus, in which it consists of Y-shaped white matter, and it consists of two parts. One is mediate T-nucleate body and lateral T-nucleate body, and there is one more interesting structure, that is on the upper side of this thalamus there is sheet of white matter. This sheet of white matter which is present on the surface of above the thalamus is called stratum zonuum. This is a stratum zonuum which is present on the surface area of thalamus, and it is divided into three parts. One is medullary, anterior and lateral. Again, this lateral is divided into two parts. One is ventral portion and other one is dorsal portion. This ventral portion and other one is dorsal portion. This is about the complete description of thalamus. And let us discuss the formation of this hypothalamus. Formation of hypothalamus. This is thalamus, and when we discuss about the formation of hypothalamus, let us consider this is a midbrain. Pons, medulla, and it is cerebellum, and this is spinal cord, and this is midbrain. On upper part of midbrain there is third ventricle. This is the third ventricle, and how this hypothalamus is formed and where the hypothalamus is located means on anterior side of the third ventricle the name of the third ventricle is myosin. Around and lateral sides and beneath of the third ventricle there is special structure called hypothalamus is present. This is hypothalamus. This is hypothalamus, and there is a special structure is called this is special structure, it is called mammillary body. It is mammillary body, and there is one more elevation is called which is bigger in size, and it is called tubercinarium. This is tubercinarium, which results in infundibulum and it results in formation of pituitary gland. This is posterior and it is anterior. This pituitary gland. This is the pituitary gland and these are the thalamus. And it is a pineal body. This is a formation of hypothalamus. This hypothalamus is present on anterior part of the third ventricle. This is the third ventricle, which is present on upper side of the midbrain, and this hypothalamus is present at the lateral sides and below of the third ventricle. This is hypothalamus, which is surrounded by the third ventricle, and this hypothalamus consists of two elevations. The first elevation is called mammillary body, and these are two in number. Mammillary bodies are two in number, and there is one more elevation called tubercinarium. Now this tubercinarium will result in formation of anterior and posterior pituitary. This is about the hypothalamus, and let us discuss midbrain. Let us discuss about midbrain. Midbrain. This midbrain, let us draw the structure of midbrain. This is the structure of midbrain, and in this midbrain, the central part is called. There is a central part is called internal pedunculi. This is internal pedunculi, and there is one more structure which is present at the lateral sides of this internal pedunculi is called these structures are called cerebral pedunculi. These are the cerebral pedunculi, and there is one more structure which is present above this level is called this special structure is called substantia nigrana. This special structure is called, these two special structures is called substantia nigrana, and the structure which is present above this substantia nigrana is called tegment. This special structure which is present above this substantia nigrana is called tegment, and again this entire structure, this entire structure is called tectum. This entire structure is called tectum, and in midbrain there are four structures are present. Let us consider these are the four structures. These are the four structures which are present in midbrain. The upper two are called, these upper two are called superior caliculi, and the inner two, lower two are called inferior these are the inferior caliculi and these are the superior caliculi. These inferior caliculi are associated with vision, and this superior caliculi is associated with auditory, receptors, and these are associated with vision receptors. This is about midbrain. Now let us discuss about cerebellum. This is a cerebellum, in which this cerebellum is divided into three parts. This part is called dorsal, and this part is called ventral, and this smallest part is called floccular. This smallest part is called floccular part, and these two are ventral and dorsal. And if we draw the cerebellum structure like this, these are floccular parts which are separated from main cerebellum. There is a groove which is present. This is a groove which is present in the middle of this cerebellum is called vermis. This is vermis, and the portion which is present at the lateral sides of this vermis, the portion which is present at the lateral side of this vermis is called post vermial area. This is vermial area and this is post vermial area. This is about cerebellar hemisphere, and this floccular end, this floccular parts will associate and it helps in balancing. And this dorsal part will help in movement and it helps in position. These are the three main functions of this cerebellum, that is movement and helps in position of the body and balancing. These are three important functions of this cerebellum. And next we discuss about pons. This is pons and this is the pons and it is medulla. Now this pons is present at between the below of this midbrain and above the medulla oblongata, and it consists of axons. Let us consider the supply of blood supply to the cerebellar hemisphere through the pons. These are the, let us consider these are the neurons, in which there are three ways which enter into the cerebellar hemisphere. This is first portion, this is second one, the portion through which the axons which will enter in this area is called inferior cerebellar fibers, and these are called superior cerebellar fibers, and these are called middle cerebellar fibers. And this is about pons only. And let us discuss the nerves which are coming from midbrain. For this midbrain, pons and medulla, from midbrain two types of nerves are arising, that is third nerve and fourth nerve. And the junction of this pons varoli and medulla oblongata, there are 4 different types of nerves are arising, that are fifth nerve and sixth, seventh and eighth. These are the 4 different types of nerves which are arising from the junction of pons varoli and medulla oblongata. And when we discuss about the medulla oblongata, it is the last part of the brain, and continuation of this medulla oblongata, it consists of spinal cord. And if we discuss about the brain stem, this brain stem consists of 3 parts. One is midbrain, pons varoli and medulla oblongata. It do not contain cerebellum. Brain stem is equals to midbrain plus pons plus medulla oblongata. These are the 3 structures which forms brain stem, that is midbrain, pons varoli and medulla oblongata. It unite together to form brain stem.